Why play Zoe mid? Well, she has some of the best burst damage in the game, she has incredibly long range, she has massive outplay potential with her ultimate, and her early game is incredibly strong. However, she is very skill shot reliant for damage, and she's incredibly squishy if she gets CC'd. Zoe's passive is after using an ability, her next basic attack will deal additional damage. Zoe's Q has two different activations. The first throws out a straight line skill shot in a direction. If this hits an enemy, it will deal damage scaling with the distance it's travelled. However, if at max range it doesn't hit an enemy, it will hover in the air. You can then press Q again to launch it in a different direction, with it travelling a maximum of 800 range past Zoe. It deals damage to the first enemy hit, scaling with distance travelled, and slightly reduced damage to nearby enemies. Also, it's good to note, as this has two casts, it will proc her passive twice. Zoe's W has a passive where if enemies use summoner spells or activatable items, they drop a spell shard on the floor. In addition, specific minions which are marked also drop spell shards when killed. She can then pick up these spell shards to turn her W into that summoner spell or active item. It also has a second passive where after using this ability or her own summoner spell, she gains a large burst of movement speed and throws 3 missiles at the last target she attacked. Zoe's E is a straight line skill shot which deals damage to the first target hit. The target hit becomes drowsy, and after a short delay they will fall asleep and have reduced magic resist. Attacks that wake them up deal double the damage as true damage up to a set cap. If this skill shot misses, it stays on the floor and will apply this effect on the first target to walk over it. Also, where this isn't a very long range skill shot, terrain it passes over doesn't count towards the skill shot length, so it can be greatly extended by using it over terrain. Zoe's ultimate teleports her a set distance for 1 second before she teleports back to her original position. For combos, start with E into throwing a Q behind you. After this, use ultimate towards them and auto attack into reactivating your Q, which will have extended range due to your ultimate. And a great combo to get almost guaranteed CC is to use ultimate into flash and E, which gives you a very easy and very free follow-up Q. For matchups, Zoe does very well in champions where she can use her mobility to her advantage while landing easy sleeps, and she can struggle against champions who can easily get onto her and blow her up. For runes take this, you're all about the burst damage. For build orders, start Ring and Pots into tier 2 boots, Ludens and Shadowflame. Following this, a hat, Void Staff and Zhonya's are great pickups, with any of these also being good situationally. For skill orders, start Q then E then W before maxing Q then E then W, taking ult whenever you can. For summoner spells, take Flash and Ignite. Starting the game, your main focus is going to be on farming hard and trading with your high burst damage electrocute combos as often as possible. From level 1, your damage is incredibly high. If you're able to throw out a Q into an auto attack before launching Q at them and auto attacking again, you will have dealt the damage from the Q, 2 auto attacks and 2 procs of your passive and electrocute. As far as level 1 damage goes, this is amazing and you want to be looking for these as often as possible. And of course, if you can land your E before this, it's such an insane amount of damage incredibly fast. And of course, if you can get a good ability on your W and use your Ignite, you have insane kill threat, especially with the extra damage your W gives you when using things like Ignite. Entering the mid game, your bot lane will come mid, which means you need to get to a side lane for the experience and gold. She's not a great split pusher, so push out as far as you can safely before grouping back with your team to siege and get objectives. Entering a late game teamfight, you want to play the backline mage, and ideally you want to play around and behind terrain during fights, as this gives you extended E's, hidden Q's, and you can still go in with ultimate. From here, spam out damage onto anything you can, and if you can land an E on a squishy champion, simply full combo them and watch them pop.